Hi, this is Amber with Resale Genius, and I've been reselling for almost 25 years, so probably about 25 years now, and I have sold on platforms like eBay, Poshmark, Grailed, Mercari, StockX, pretty much all of them. This is my fourth sourcing video because my last one got cut off, but I do want to share a few more places that I source things to resell. So I left off the last video with HBX. HBX is an app that is based in Asia, and they have really incredible sales. I mean, they're focused more on streetwear, but they also have luxury designer goods in there because luxury designer and streetwear sometimes go together, and I sell both, so this has been a great app for me. They have, I believe it's twice a year, their sales, and you can get up to like 80% off. And there's some really cool Japanese streetwear brands, but there's also a lot of good things that you can get on HBX, and it is an app. And again, like they have men's and they have women's, and they have like bags and accessories, so you want to search those separately under the sale. I'm going to go over to sneakers a little bit. Now, sneakers is a whole different ball game, obviously, but I'm putting this in because there's some really high-end luxury brand sneakers. For sneakers, and there is some apparel here too, but a really cool app that I love is called SNS, and it stands for Sneakers and Stuff. This one I believe started in Copenhagen, and now they do have, I think, like 3 locations. One's in New York, and the rest are overseas. But the reason why I like this is not because of the stores, but because of the app. So the SNS app also has sales, and in there you can find really cool sneakers that are from different countries. So for example, Nike or Adidas they'll sell different models in the European market and the Asian market, and so you can find those European models on SNS. And sometimes they'll be just totally incredible, totally rare, and you'll get it for below retail. So I found some really cool items on there. Sometimes they'll also have items from, top brands that come out first over there and may not ever come out here, or they may come out later. So for example, sorry, my cat just fell. So for example, that totally took me off guard. Pavlov, what are you doing? Pavlov! Sometimes they'll have things like, for example, I got a pair of Adidas on there, and they were like jelly Adidas, so they were see-through. They looked kind of like the Superstar, but they were all clear. And they came in fun colors like purple, pink, and they were on sale. They were like, I think 60% off or half off or something. And then, I swear, like 8 months later, they launched those in the US. And I had already got them when they were on sale, and they hadn't launched in the US yet. So anyways, take a look at that app because it's really cool. You can find some great things, not just for sourcing, but for yourself. Okay, so now there's Joma Shop, and that's a place where people may know about this place, but they have like rotating sales, and I guess I kind of would, it's kind of like Gilt, but they have just way more things, and it's not all high-end, but it is a good place to source. I believe I mentioned the Outnet app. That is like one of the best designer discounting apps on ever. The Outnet is an app, and it carries only designer goods, and they're all on sale. So it's sort of like an outlet store in an app, but for very high-end designers. I mean, they also have some premium too, so like Tory Burch and that kind of thing, but they also have really incredible, really amazing deals on very high-end boutique designers. And gosh, there's just so many gorgeous things, and you can watch it, but they get new things like every day, and I could get lost in that app. It's really incredible. I think I mentioned Bluefly in my other video, but just in case, Bluefly it's a website and an app, but it's like kind of like Gilt, so it offers different designer goods at discounts. And sometimes I'll search for the item if I find it on Bluefly, and then I'll search for the actual item name on Google, and then I'll see other apps and discounted sites that pop up with the same item, and some may be higher, some may be lower. So I kind of do retail arbitrage, but then I also compare the sites against one another, because sometimes, you know, for example, you find a Fendi sweatshirt, for example, and you find the name of it on whatever app you're looking at, and so then you go to Google, go over there, search that exact same thing, and then you might see Gilt pop up with it, or, you know, Rue La La pop up with it, or BHFO, or Nordstrom Rack, or Off Saks Fifth. Speaking on Off Saks Fifth, like for example, right now they're having a huge sale. All of these places have a sale right around between, you know, Black Friday and Christmas, and then January, of course, is the huge sale time. So right now is a really great time to source lots of different things, as opposed to sourcing it 2 months ago, because that you wouldn't have gotten these amazing deals. I feel like Black Friday has really gone on much longer than just one day after Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of extended sales, and that could also be because retail is kind of not doing so well this year, including luxury actually. I think Louis Vuitton didn't meet their forecast for the first time in like years. So that's a huge kind of eye-opener, and that might be why your sales might have slowed down a little bit this season or the last few months. But don't get discouraged, because just think of it as this is a great time to source. And, you know, if you find the right thing, things are still selling. So there's some people who have had the best couple of months in their entire career. So just keep that in mind. It's all about what you source, or, you know, what you have in your closet, and how you price it, how you present it on your page, whether it's Poshmark or whether it's eBay, for example, with your pictures and your backgrounds and your description and your title. Yeah, so don't get discouraged. Okay, that was just a little break. Now I'm going to go over a few others. There is Quick Lots, and that is spelt with a Z, so Quick Lot Z, Quick Lots. Then there is Bulk, B-U-L-Q. And then there is Boutique by the Box. Now, these are all kind of like pallet driven sourcing sites. Some of them offer like curated boxes, like Boutique by the Box, and they, I assume, are buying the pallets and then curating them. And then the other two are actual pallet companies. Now, I just want to say I have not used those two companies before. With pallets, you really have to, you know, do your due diligence. Not just the company, but also the actual pallet. So, a couple of tips here. One, like, you could invest a lot of money in pallets and get totally screwed. So, I personally have never bought a pallet in my life. I like kind of like the individual sourcing aspect of the business. If some amazing deal came by, sometimes I'll buy like multiple numbers of that item, but I've never invested in a pallet because some of them are like thousands, 10,000, whatever. But when you are looking for a pallet, I know from being in the industry for so long, you want to buy one with a manifest. And a manifest means that every single item is listed on this, you know, manifest electronic list that details everything that's inside the pallet. Because if you don't get that, you may be getting like a bunch of crap, or a bunch of just undesirable things, or maybe undesirable sizes or whatever. So make sure you buy one with a manifest. And then with some of these pallet companies, you have to pick it up. So make sure you keep that in mind. Look at the shipping cost and whether they deliver, and if they don't, how are you going to get the items? How are you going to get the pallet? Some of these pallet companies also allow you to invest in like half a pallet or a quarter of a pallet, so those might be like entry options. But I will preface, the reason I'm not getting into a lot of pallets in these discussions is because I personally have not gone that route. All right. On that note, there is storagetreasures.com, storageauctions.com. Those are two places which, if you've watched Storage Wars or whatever it's called, people can buy or auction old storage units. And again, like, you want to know what's inside it. So if it's a mystery, it's a total mystery, and you could be left with nothing to sell, or just junk that you have to pay to get rid of. Pallet Spy, HiBid, HIBID, Live Auctioneers, AA Bids. Then there is Ukes. Reminds me of my cat, Yuki or Yukidama, but it's not spelled the same. It's YOOX. And they are an online fashion retailer, and they also have a last chance section for extra savings, so check that out. My Teresa outlet. This is the outlet section of My Teresa, and it offers discounted luxury fashion. Haute Look or Hot Look, HAUTELOOK. They host daily sales events and they feature designers and luxury brands. There's a few liquidation and wholesale websites where you can find things. I have not used these, but I'm just going to mention them because, again, it's kind of like the pallet situation, but I have done the research. So there's liquidation.com, and they have a ton of different categories. There's B-Stock Solutions, and this is a platform for retailers to sell excess customer inventory and returns. And I think I did mention this on my first video, but Macy's, you can go onto their website and sign up for their program, which allows you to buy direct from Macy's, some of their customer returns and overstock. Okay, direct liquidation. That is another one. It's products from major retailers and manufacturers. VIA Trading, VIA Trading. That's a wholesale supplier, and they have customer returns, overstock, surplus items. Top 10 Wholesale. This connects buyers, like wholesalers and sellers, or buyers of the wholesale stuff, together. Merchandise Liquidators, and merchandise is spelled with a Z. And they special in closeouts and excess inventory. Fashion Go. So this one isn't for pallets, but it's a business-to-business wholesale market, and you can find trendy accessories and things like that. Top Hatter, that's an online auction platform where you might come across pallets of fashion. And the last one is Department Store Liquidations. So this is where I should have mentioned Macy's, but some department stores have high-end liquidators, and so if you find who that company is, you can really get in on some good deals. Or like Macy's, for example, you can go directly to Macy's and there's an email and you can email them, or you can sign up directly on their website, and I will post the link up top. But just make sure you research and do your due diligence, because, you know, all the other sites I've mentioned previously and, you know, the first section of this video I have used and I stand behind, and they're totally legit. But these wholesalers and liquidators and pallet companies I have not used. So again, do your research, do your due diligence. Make sure there's a manifest. Sometimes department stores actually put their excess inventory into donations. So for example, Neiman Marcus in particular, they donate to the Children's Place Foundation. It's a nonprofit. They also donate to the Salvation Army, Goodwill, of course, St. Jude, and Habitat for Humanity, which obviously are not clothing, but it just gives you a little idea of where they donate to. Nike, for example, they do Nike clearance stores and Nike outlet stores. And speaking of Nike, right around like November, December, Nike has some really good sales, and what they do is they take their inventory that may have been on the site in the past that might have been really, really good, and they then bring it back and they put it on sale. So I think last year I got this beautiful Sakai puffer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Sakai right, but it's SACAI. It was a collab between Sakai and Nike, and again, you know, I'm a real fan of collabs, so I think that that was an excellent buy. It was like 60% off, and I made, I think, about $100 on the transaction after fees and everything. And there, of course, are multiple consignment stores all around the country, and you can go and check them out in person, but a lot of them have websites too. And you could contact them and say, hey, you know, I specialize in selling X. If you ever get X, let me know. Some of them will be kind enough to do that. So that about wraps it up for today's video. If you find the information valuable, I would love it if you could like this video and share it, or follow my socials, comment, anything to help get the word out there, because I create all of this content 100% for free, even everything on the website, which has a huge knowledge database of stuff that you can look through or download. I just do this because I want to help people that are just starting their reselling businesses, or people who need some extra inspiration and just trying to pay it forward, because I've been selling for so long. I wish that there was resources like this for me when I started selling, because it would have been a heck of a lot easier. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye! And on that note, there's storage treasure. And then there is I feel like blue, it's, I don't know how to pronounce it, like Miss Bevan.